Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together here on Facebook Live every morning at 10:30, where we exchange headlines, conversation, ideas, topics, comments, suggestions, gossip, you name it, whatever it is that allows us to have a better life in Puerto Vallarta as an English-speaking community. My name is Paco, in case you are new to the broadcast, and we would love to know that you're new. If you write your name if you write the word new in your comments, then we will give you a proper welcome. It is always great to see familiar faces, and I hope you all had a good weekend. It rained a lot this weekend, and there are some news that reflect this fact. But of course, it's Monday. We begin another week, and we always begin with the numbers that are presented to us by our Governor Enrique Alfaro about how we're doing in terms of the pandemic. We also will feature some news about some activities that the governor was involved in this past weekend. He was here in Puerto Vallarta checking on progress on a couple of projects. And then we're going to talk about some leisurely stuff, including Lady Gaga. We're going to have some news about Lady Gaga that have very little to do with Puerto Vallarta. But hey, there might be a Lady Gaga fan or two in the house. But I know that there's at least one or two fans of Lady Tacos de Canasta, the wonderful Musha taco seller in Mexico City that we talked about a few days ago. So we'll have some news about her, and we'll have some news about Lady Gaga. Could they be combined? You're just going to have to stick around till the end, because we're going to do that at the very end of this broadcast. And yes, it is a manic Monday, because Sunday was a fun day. It was a fun day for me too, although I spent a lot of time here at home working on a couple of projects. So I'm very happy to begin the week knowing that I am at least a little further up in getting caught up with a couple of things that I'm doing. There are wonderful hellos from all over, including Logan, who says leftover Chinese food and headlines for me this morning. I love it. I love it. Rita, it's great to see your happy face. It's great to see all of your happy faces. And I'm glad to see that there's at least one fan of Lady Gaga in the house. Yay. So what could Lady Gaga and Coffee and Headlines have to do with one another? Or Lady Gaga and Lady Tacos de Canasta? Could it be that they met? There's only one way to find out. But first, let's go to the news, and we will go through today's broadcast as usual. Hang in there. Okay, so we begin as usual with the statement made by our governor about the latest numbers for COVID-19 in his Facebook page. On his Facebook page, he posted the following information: having understood the individual responsibility as a key to be able to challenge the risk of living in the middle of a pandemic continues to show up in our numbers. In this past week, we went from 23.4% of occupied beds to 22.6%. And the rate of weekly new cases per million of inhabitants dropped from 315.9 to 285.7. At a national level, we are the fourth state with the lowest number of accumulated cases. the 18th state with lowest rate of active cases, and 6th place with lowest morbidity rate. We cannot relax our pace a single day to look after our loved ones and our medical personnel, and to be able to save lives and continue reactivating our economy. Let us avoid the emergency button and let us continue moving forward. That is the message that we get from Governor Alfaro. Let's take a look at what these numbers look like. Here we are looking at the numbers for last week, which indeed showed that 642 hospital beds were being used, and now we have 619, a lower number. And also the number of active cases per week went from 315 to 285. So as you can see, there is a considerable decrease in number of active cases. This is good news for the region. And here is the rate of active cases, showing Jalisco right in the middle and still under the median average for the country. Baja California Sur continues to spike in this chart. There's Jalisco in the number of accumulated cases. And of course, first place is for Mexico City. And here is Jalisco for morbidity rate, number of deaths for every 100,000 inhabitants. We are also under the country average, and the highest number is in Mexico City. So these are all good-looking news, and it's a good thing to know that the numbers are getting better and they have been getting better for some time. I read elsewhere that the U.S. border with Canada and Mexico is going to remain closed through October 21st to slow spread of COVID-19. This is for people that are trying to cross the border without having a special reason to do so. As I understand, people that have business on the other side of the border can cross without a problem. This note comes from Infobae and tells us that the coronavirus map in Mexico as of the 21st of September, that is today, shows the largest reduction in mortality since the pandemic began. So it is safe to say that we seem to be in a good direction throughout the country. However, despite the fact that this headline says that mortality or morbidity in Mexico has been heading down over the past 10 weeks, according to Hugo Lopez-Gatell, then there was also another headline that indicates that Hugo Lopez-Gatell is considering another lockdown for pandemic in October, because the numbers seem to be increasing, or could be increasing, or might be increasing as always. This is not the most specific note, and we are going to keep track of this in the future, just in case we're headed in that direction. But let us hope that as long as we continue doing everything that we have been doing, that we are going to be able to head in the direction of betterment as far as our health is concerned, and as far as our prosperity and economy are concerned. Let me take a quick look at your comments just to make sure. Thank you, Liz. That's enough. I mean, not enough. That is all you had to say. That you enjoyed the Lujan by Mancini. That is wonderful. You just made my day. I'm so glad that you guys listen to the music that I recommend. It means something to you. Yay. Okay, anyhow, I'm being silly, and we're still in the news. So let me go back to my headlines. As I mentioned, Governor Enrique Alfaro was in town to supervise how is the progress on several projects in town, including we're looking here at the lateral of Francisco Medina Asensio, right around the hotel zone. This is around where um, not far from La Isla, actually, on the next block over. And we know that it'll take about 3 months for this first stage of rehabilitation for the lateral roads on our main throughway. They're going to be paved with a special tile that commemorates the city, and there's going to be a bicycle path. And this is all good all good news. Needless to say, those people that drive are constantly complaining about the fact that it takes longer to get places, but then we complain because there are speed bumps and the roads are not in the best possible condition. So I personally am glad that these things are improving. The governor said in a short video that he published on his Facebook page that he's very keen on Puerto Vallarta adopting more bicycle friendly attitudes in the city, and this is why the construction of these bicycle paths is essential. We also learned that Governor Alfaro visited the El Salado estuary to reveal what the plans of development are going to be there. This particular paper mentioned that this happened in Petit Comité. And let me stop here to explain a couple of things just to give you some context. In case you haven't been, the El Salado estuary is one of a very few numbers of urban estuaries in the world. You wouldn't know this unless you did some homework, but estuaries tend to happen naturally, but it is seldom the case that a city gets built around one, and that is what happened with El Salado estuary. In fact, when Marina Vallarta was first designed, Marina Vallarta was supposed to include another zone on the other side of Medina Ascencio, where the estuary is, and it was going to be developed to that effect. Now, I don't know the specifics of the story, but it is on my list of things to research. At some point, the city or someone said, well, wait a second, we cannot be building more Marina Vallarta here because this is protected land or should be protected land. And it became such. El Salado estuary became not only protected, but it in the last few years, it's become an activity that you can enjoy. You can actually go in there and go on boats through canals, and you can see all the environment that goes on there, all the animals and so forth and so on. In the past couple of years or so, there has been some grumbling that there are initiatives coming from Guadalajara City of developing that area and turning it into something that it is not. So there has been a lot of there's some ruffled feathers in your comments. I'll get to that in a second. There's been some grumbling as to what kind of development is going to happen here in El Salado. Is El Salado going to be modified so that it is no longer an environmentally friendly place? And the answer is no. This particular news item that I was showing you indicates that not all the press corps in town was notified that the governor was going to be doing this stuff. So and apparently the only people that were allowed into this particular part of the governor's schedule were the mayor of the city and a few members of the press from Guadalajara City. So, I mean, this may have ruffled a few local reporters, but the important thing that we learn about this is that there will be no construction in the estuary. The estuary will remain as such, according to the biologist in charge of this protected piece of land. His name is Jaime Torres. They are simply going to reinforce the existing infrastructure. This probably means that they're going to make it a little bit more user-friendly to visit and explore. I see a comment here from Kathleen saying, I would love to see the estuary. It is actually a fun little getaway. I think they charge like 50 or 80 pesos, and you go in a boat and somebody shows you. And then on the inside of the estuary, there is an observation deck that allows you to see the surroundings, and you go up onto this tower and you can actually see how much protected land is in there, and it gives you an appreciation of how important it is to look after it. In other news, we also learned that the city began a project of reforestation. Is that a word in English? Of planting trees again in the banks of the Pitillal River. We recall that the banks of the Pitillal River were removed a few weeks ago to allow for the rains to be able to come down the river without causing any damage. At first, there was a lot of grumbling, and then we saw how high the waters in the river tended to go a few days ago. So it seems like it was a good deal. I mean, it was a good idea to begin with. It was probably not well informed, or it was not well informed to the public, rather. But now the local government, along with environmental authorities from the university, are starting to reforest and plant more trees in this general area. Let me see, what else do we have? Moving on with news, and I'll come back to your comments in a second. We talked about the anti-chancla law a few days ago, and this is the law in which you are not allowed to discipline your children using physical force in any way, shape, or form. And this is now an official law in the state of Jalisco. If you scold or discipline your child with physically in any way, shape, or form, you could be charged with sanctions that go from 6 months to up to 5 years in prison. So no more hitting children in any way, shape, or form. Let us hope that this law is also replicated in other parts of the country. Let me stop here to take a quick look at your comments and questions. Let's see, what do we have? Boom, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. Lots of hellos. Joe, I am not going to put your comment on the screen because it's very long, but I'm sorry that you're disgusted about the laws preventing women that are expecting children to go into the supermarket. It is for everybody's benefit, including the benefit of the children. I'm sorry that your girlfriend went through such an uncomfortable situation. Joe asks, we started Coffee and Headlines 6 months ago during the beginning of the pandemic. If there was no pandemic, would you have started Coffee and Headlines? Also, am I planning to continue through the future? Oh my God, what a wonderful question, Joe. And let me tell you, the answer to both questions is yes. I actually did not start Coffee and Headlines because of, well, I didn't because of the pandemic. I did it because of the pandemic, a number of my clients decided, well, we don't need your services right now. So I figured, what am I going to do? So I needed to do a little reinvention. The notion of creating some kind of connecting vehicle between the destination and the local English-speaking community is something that began in my mind during last summer while I was the interim editor for the Vallarta Tribune. It was at that time that I felt, and I continue to feel, that the Vallarta Tribune, along with a number of news outlets and publications in town, try to be a jack of all trades. They try to cater to the tourism that comes to our city, and then they try to cater to the locals who now have different priorities, and the bilingual ones claim to cater to both English-speaking people or Spanish-speaking people, and very frequently fail in one of two languages depending on who's in charge. So at the time, Joe, I figured, well, here's an opportunity that not many other people are addressing. You know, we have a population of 20, 30,000 English-speaking folk living in Banderas Bay through the year or through seasons. and nobody's talking about little important things about our everyday life. So that's why I figured, okay, let's do this in English. Let's do this for locals. If other people that are not locals become interested in what's going on here, you're more than welcome. If your questions are very touristy oriented or have a lot to do with what a person would do in town for 3 days to leave afterwards, then this is probably not the best place to find answers. So I have had a lot of fun doing this, Joe, because I've learned so much during this period. And so the short of it is, of course, I would have considered doing something. I was pushed into the deep end of the pool by the pandemic, yes. And if the pandemic was not here, we would still, as English speaking locals, need to learn how to go make a payment of your taxes. We would need to learn details about that new wonderful restaurant that just opened, or all these things that have to do with our daily, everyday lives. So, yes, I will continue doing this as long as you'll have me. And I hope that was a good answer. Uh, Jill asks, where is this estuary, please? I am going to laugh a little bit, but not at you, Jill. I'm going to laugh with you, because if you are in Puerto Vallarta and you're driving north and you've just passed Sam's and Walmart and the Maritime Terminal, and you continue driving north, you go over that would be the Pitillal River. No, the no, what river is that? I forget the name of that river. No, it's not even a river. That's the estuary itself. You drive past this little bridge, and then all of a sudden on the right-hand side, you see all this a fence and all kinds of trees behind it. That is where the estuary is located. If you've reached Marina Vallarta, you've driven too far. And that is where the estuary is located. Steve comments, so the border from the U.S. and Mexico is closed except for essential travel, but I could fly from the U.S. to PV for a vacation. Kind of confusing, isn't it? Well, not to me. If you're flying, you are going to go through all kinds of scrutiny at either end. You may get some questions asked as you get on your plane or as you arrive in the destination. The same thing happens on the border if you're driving your car. If you're driving your car and you're trying to cross from the U.S. to Mexico, and they ask you, what are you doing in Mexico? And you say, well, I'm going to a cantina to meet my friends. They're going to say, no, you cannot go. And if you say, well, I have business or I have property or I have something, then they're going to say, yes, you can go. So that doesn't seem too complicated. Estuary is a great half-day trip. Yes, it is. Thank you very much for chiming in on that. Have you ever considered a live coffee and headlines in PV? Yes, we are talking about this. We've been talking about the idea of doing a meet and greet / live coffee and headlines / something for a good cause. And we're all just waiting for people to feel more comfortable being out and about. Because I can think of all kinds of wonderful things that we could be planning and scheduling, but it is not going to be as effective if people are still having a little bit of hesitation in terms of going to public places. The same thing applies for my music appreciation lectures. I've been itching to go back to lecturing about music on a live basis because when you do it here, we deal with all kinds of copyright issues. We cannot play the music, so there's no way to play musical examples as you're talking about music. I used to do this a lot, and I look forward to doing it again. But right now, who feels comfortable going into an enclosed space to breathe air along with other people? The number is changing, more and more. We saw that on the poll that we did about going to the movies. I was quite pleasantly surprised to see that now about half of the people are still feeling awkward about going to the movies or an enclosed place, but the other half of people seem to be ready to take that step. Now, it may have something to do with the movies. It may have something to do with the venue. I've heard some grumblings that one of the local venues is really filthy and it's not kept very clean. So I've heard some comments. I'm not going to say which venue, but I've heard some comments from people saying, whenever blank reopens to do live shows, I'm not going to go there because it's always filthy. So whatever it is that people continue to do to give us the trust that we need to go out is going to be really, really essential. Um, can mothers still throw a chancla at a misbehaving kid? Um, no. No, no, you cannot. You cannot, mother. You cannot throw chanclas at me or anybody else, not even your children. That's more from my dear friend Paul. I have a little surprise for Paul coming up later on in the show. We're going to premiere a video in a moment. Let's see. John says, has a very important point. John hopes that the protections don't go away with the next administration. Unfortunately, you are right, John. It often happens in Puerto Vallarta that mayors or the people in charge will come up with great plans and then they are outvoted by a different candidate and things change again. So the continuity um, of all these things is absolutely essential. Let us hope that that'll be the case. The COVID news were at the very beginning, buddy. I welcome you to rewind and watch from the beginning once the broadcast is over. You have all kinds of wonderful comments today. This makes me very happy. Um, uh, how is this okay, Joe? I'm concerned. I'm well, not concerned. I am concerned that you're upset about this, but we just deliver the news. We don't make the news, and we are not set up to have a discussion here about why things happen. If anything, your comments and concerns should go to Walmart. And I don't mean to be disenfranchised with your situation, but I mean we cannot. We don't create law here. All we do is we share information. And I know that it is frustrating for women that are pregnant. It is frustrating for the elderly. It is frustrating for mothers and fathers that don't have a place to keep their children while they need to go shopping. It is not ideal for anyone. But the government and the private institutions are just trying to move forward in the best possible way, pissing off the least number of people so that we can all remain safe in this situation. Um, Let's see. Thank you very much for that. Um, that was the short answer to my very long answer. Francisco Medina Asensio across from the Naval Hospital. Thank you very much for that. Um, Catherine chimes in on this whole issue of the elderly, so forth and so on. Um, I love it when my friends throw hints. Thank you for that, Paul. You didn't give a review of Tenet. How was it? I did. What I said about Tenet is that there are works of art that are very transparent and easy to digest, and we love them for that. An example of that would be Rodgers and Hammerstein's Do Re Mi from The Sound of Music. It's the simplest song, but you know how it goes. You know how it ends. There's no way to fuck around with it, so it just provides some comfort to know that if you're going to sing or listen to Do Re Mi, you know what is coming. But then you have art that deserves to be peeled to reveal layers, and that is the case with the movie Tenet. It is absolutely breathtakingly complicated and beautiful. It demands a number of viewings, and you go back and you watch it again, and it reveals more things. That happens to me with works of art. That happens to me with films. That happens to me with Puerto Vallarta. I mean, one of the reasons why I like to go out and about and enjoy the city with people that are seeing it for the first time is that invariably you learn something new about your surroundings when you see them through somebody else's eyes. So the short of it, Susie, is go see Tenet. You'll be lost. Go watch it again, and you'll be less lost. With the roads going south, curvy towards El Tuito, is there any plan to build another highway avoiding all the curves? Yes, Angelica, there has been a plan to develop a huge overpass that would go around the city altogether to connect points north of Puerto Vallarta with points south, but nothing specific has been mentioned. Um, da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. A lot of compliments. Thank you very much. Am I the only one getting a stop-start problem with the show? You may be having a bad internet signal. Anyhow, let me continue on with what is going on, because we still have some let me see what else is going on. And Joe, again, it's like I've met you, I've met your girlfriend. I know that you're concerned about her because she's here, but well, by herself for the most part. She has her own circle of friends, but you're away. It's complicated, Oh, yeah, I really wish everything was perfect through the pandemic, but it isn't. So my thoughts are with you, seriously. Anyhow, let me very quickly jump over to the weather and Lady Gaga. Okay, so it's 27 degrees Celsius. It feels like 33. It is 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is, again, a whopping 100%. And I like what Carrot Weather sends out for advice. It says, screw it, let's stay inside and play video games all day. I really wish to do that, but I have so much work to do. Oh, and I have a question to ask. Hold on just a second. But first, the forecast. We're going to have rain until evening today, so it may be drizzly through the day. Tomorrow, it'll be humid and partly cloudy throughout the day. And Wednesday, again, humid and partly cloudy throughout the day. Before I forget, a little selfish request, because I've never had to do this before. I'm wondering if anybody can recommend a messenger service here in Puerto Vallarta. I have an envelope full of papers that I wish to have delivered somewhere. And I've never had to do this. And I am sure there must be a service in town that does this kind of a delivery. And so if you have a suggestion for me, I would very much appreciate it. Now, Lady Gaga. Okay, so here's the thing. So Lady Gaga, or catch up. Yeah, we will get to that in a second. Lady Gaga released a new video, and I believe it's called 911. Is that the name of the song? Yes, it's 911. It's a new music video, but is Lady Gaga, is Lady Tacos de Canasta in the video? Well, first of all, let's remember Lady Tacos de Canasta. We talked about Lady Tacos de Canasta a couple of weeks ago. Lady Tacos de Canasta, who's this mushe, a mushe, oh gosh, here we go again. Mushes are biological men that behave as women. And mushes are accepted here in Mexico in one of our states. There is a place in Mexico where you have men and you have women and you have mushes, and these are people that behave and act and carry on as women, and this is perfectly allowed. And this is something that's been going on for decades, if not longer. Anyhow, there is a mushe, and we know her as Lady Tacos de Canasta. She was featured on Netflix's The Taco Chronicles on the first season, and she was selling her tacos de canasta in El Zócalo in Mexico City, and she was not attacked. She was confronted by policemen who told her, you cannot be selling there. So apparently she fell on the floor. I don't know exactly what happened, but she fell on the floor. She lost all her tacos, which were on her basket, on her bicycle. Everything was spilled. And then, needless to say, because everybody knows who she is, the city was like, oh shit, we fucked up. So the policemen were scolded, hopefully not with a chancla, and she was given a permanent location to be able to sell her tacos. Now, what does this have to do with Lady Gaga's new video? Well, apparently, if you look at the video and you scroll to about 2 minutes and 45 seconds, there is this drawing that appears in the video that shows a woman landing on the floor with a bicycle and a basket and a bunch of chingaderas and a policeman. So, according to some very intense Lady Gaga fans from Mexico, probably, they figured, oh, well, wait a second. Is that a drawing illustrating Lady Tacos de Canasta in Lady Gaga's video? So it's not something that I actually have an answer for, but I thought it was absolutely interesting that Lady Gaga's video features this drawing. We don't know if this is deliberate or if this is accidental, but I'm sure that if we Google in the next few days both Lady Gaga and Lady Tacos de Canasta, something is going to come out of this. And I thought it was really funny and curious to share with you. Um, One more headline before we premiere a little video for my dear friend Paul. Um, it happened, Vidanta, just north of the border with Nayarit, how they're landscaping all those beautiful tree area zones for the new hotel and the new amusement park and stuff like that. Well, the whole thing flooded. This is not laughable, but it is funny. They have been so carefully trying to manicure that whole area so that they will be able to build all these hotels and amusement parks and so forth and so on. And the concerns of some people became real. Apparently, it is all flooded. Let us hope that this is not an indication of what Vidanta needs to do in the future to prevent this from happening, because the river is right next door to all the development that they're doing. So there you have it. Let me take a quick look at your comments before we end this with a little video that I want to share with you. Um, or catch up with the Emmy winners. I actually don't know anything about the Emmys yet, and I'm so glad that you didn't throw any spoilers my way, because I'm hoping to download the broadcast from somewhere, and I'm hoping to watch it at some point today. I don't like watching them through the local channels because you get the commentary translated into Spanish, and that just they never translate it well. I hate it. Thank you for that, Uber Flash. I didn't know that that even existed. Thank you very, very much. Courier Delivery PVR Express. Thank you very much for that, friends, because I really need to do this today. And I'm so glad you have comments about Lady Tacos de Canasta and Lady Gaga. I will find a link to the video for Lady Gaga, Lady Gaga's new video, so that you can take a look at it. So let me wrap this up with a reminder that the pandemic is still here. People are still struggling to recover from the financial and economic blow that it's been for many of us, myself included. I mean, we've all been affected by this one way or another. For some, it's not being able to go to the supermarket when you want. For others, it's not being able to travel. For others, it's not being able to put a piece of bread on your plate. And there is still a lot of need in the region, certainly in areas of Puerto Vallarta that you've never seen, where there are a number of initiatives in town that are hoping to provide for those that cannot provide for themselves for the time being. I know there are a number of great efforts going on in the city. The food bank is one of them, and so forth and so on. I support my friend Paul's effort because he's my friend, because he keeps me in touch with what is going on. In the past, there was a grumbling here and there because I promoted Paul's effort and not others. So I'm going to promote Paul's effort again because Paul sends me information. And this is, of course, as always, an invitation to people that have newsworthy stories to share, whether it is that your new business opened or whether it is that you heard about something wonderful and so forth and so on. Let this project, Let Coffee and Headlines, be a vessel for your stories if your stories help connect us with our surroundings. So with that said, of course, let me share another video to help promote Paul's fundraising efforts to feed the families of Puerto Vallarta. The latest goal is to get up to $50,000. Let's take a look at this. And there you have it. I gave myself goosebumps. um, it is always so uplifting to be here with you every day, because invariably I see the most wonderful exchange of good vibes and good intention and wanting to connect and wanting to make a difference. So if you um, are able to help Paul's pursuits, I'm going to put the link in the show notes. And of course, if you find that Coffee and Headlines brings you joy, brings you inspiration, brings you good ideas, or makes you connect with the destination, or otherwise makes your life a little better, please consider buying us a coffee, or please consider a membership to Coffee and Headlines. Your contributions to this project allow me from diverting my focus onto other things. In other words, I would be so very happy just continuing to do this and provide you with videos and news and information and connection. But we wouldn't be able to do this if we didn't have the funding necessary to do that. We would be out looking for jobs and being a receptionist at Hotel Mercurio. Maybe if I didn't have Coffee and Headlines, maybe I would make a good receptionist. Who knows? Maybe I'm too cranky for that. Anyhow, I want to thank you, as always, for being part of this community. Somebody wrote me a comment yesterday or the day before and said, "Thank you for letting me be part of your community." And I answered back, "The community is yours as well. In fact, the community is more yours than mine. I am just the guy sitting here in front of the microphone with Luna at my side. She is fast asleep. I don't know that I dare. Do I dare? Luna, I'm gonna touch you. Yes, I'm gonna touch you. So you don't have to like jump around. There she is. There's my girl. She's very busy taking notes. Anyhow, this has been our broadcast for today. As always, I hope you'll stay happy, stay calm, stay kind, stay generous, stay in touch, and hopefully I will see you again sometime in the very near future. Have a great day.